Alright, what's going on YouTube? Today we're going to talk about tier lists in League of Legends. If you're out of the loop, quickly, a tier list is a list of champions usually sorted by solo queue rank, which is supposed to suggest which champions are the strongest in the current metagame for each different role. So for instance, say we're discussing the strongest marksman in the current patch. Tier list would then rank an arbitrary number of champions, say 3, in that role to quote-unquote set the bar. Let's say MF, Ezreal, and Bane for the current patch in which I'm making this video, which is 7.24, which I, by the way, obtained from some random tier list website. These are ranked as S tier, the best of the best for the patch. We do the same for slightly weaker champions. Those would be tier A in power level, and then the same for slightly even weaker champions, which would be tier B, and so on until we've covered every champion in the game. Now obviously, as you could tell by the title of the video, this video isn't about how accurate or inaccurate these lists are. They provide some general sense of the current metagame, and the most played, banned champions are usually taken into consideration for champion rankings by tier list creators. However, here's the thing. None of it matters. To understand why, we have to ask ourselves, why do we play certain champions? I know this sounds like some psychological bogus, but bear with me. Whenever we pick a champion, we either master it or we don't. As a matter of fact, purely by mastering a single champion, there are players which can rank as highly as Challenger, simply by knowing the ins and outs of it. These players don't change champions, not because their selected champion is always tier S or whatever on some random tier list, but rather because they've put hours and hours of dedication and effort into them and they know they'll excel at their character. Champion mastery and having a small champion pool is actually a topic I'll be discussing shortly in the channel, so if you come from the distant future, you can click on the card on the screen right now or check for the link in the description for the video regarding that specific topic. Anyway, getting back to tier lists, people usually overlook another very important factor. Riot is already very good at balancing champions for every elo. Yes, even for the people in bronze who think Tryndamere or Master Yi is the be-all end-all champion. Unlike a couple of seasons ago where champions had very one-dimensional and naive kids, League of Legends has come a long way. Long past are the days of dodge jacks or phantom dancer / black cleaver stacking. Trust me, you don't want to know those days. Those were the dark days of League of Legends. Anyway, it's not like this kind of things can't happen, but overall if something goes out of hand, it is addressed immediately by Riot with a hotfix. It actually happened recently with Janna a couple of months ago. She got ridiculous buffs, and a part of them were reverted because she was too strong at all levels of play. In general, League of Legends characters must be at least playable for every level of play. Obviously with some exceptions regarding mechanically intensive champions, but nothing completely unusable by low elo players. Which actually brings me to my next point. Elo bracketed tier lists. These are by far the worst offenders to the community at large. If you've ever read a tier list before, you might have noticed that often there are separate tier lists for every separate elo bracket. Why is that? Well, usually it's recommended that low elo players take some time to actually learn the game, instead of learning champions, since there is so much about League which has nothing to do with the complexities of the character you're playing, but rather the decisions one takes through the course of a match. Bracketed tier lists will often include low skill ceiling, mechanically unintensive champions for this reason. But most of the time in low elo, everything comes down to figuring out counterplay in the first place. It's not about your champion, it's about your opponents. I can assure you that the champion you play at either bronze or silver elos makes absolutely no difference compared to your individual knowledge of the game as a whole, and how you apply it in game. As you move further up the elo bracket in a gold, platinum, and diamond, this still holds some validity, but most importantly, these players likely already have developed a playstyle which has taken them hours of dedication, and a tier list is not gonna change that. Their champion pool is and will be for the most part static, with small adjustments between patches incorporating and removing champions here and there. These tier lists are usually only applicable to coordinated play with professional players, where a small edge over your opponent is necessary because skill-wise everyone is on the same playing field. And it's not to say your solo queue games aren't balanced, it's just that there are a lot more variables than raw champion power and team composition synergies. Players who craft these lists are for the most part high elo players, which know the particular metagame of their solo queue games, and are not experienced at lower elo or have experienced it from a smurfing perspective, which is extremely different from regular bronze play. They come up with a lower ranked tier list merely by hypotheticals. For example, Ashe's ultimate is really good because low elo players can't dodge it in time, or Tristana is great because you don't get as punished for mispositioning because of her jump, yada yada yada. This holds true for every champion in the game. Every one of them has useful skills which set them apart from other champs. Who would have thought, right? Except Shaco. Don't play Shaco. Don't play him in my solo queue games. Don't play him in your solo queue, especially in my solo queue. Okay, you can play Shaco in your solo. Don't bring him to my solo queue games, right? Fucking hate shit. So in summary, if you're playing on bronze or silver elo, tier lists don't matter because champion picks for the most part don't matter. And everyone else except challenger and professional players will already have developed a playstyle with specific champions they master. In conclusion, tier lists don't matter. So what do you think? Is there anything I missed throughout the video? Let's talk on the comments below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.